So for assignment 6, I could give a demonstration of one of the chart types. I created a parliamentary chart, and it looks like this in the year 2018, then 2019. And for each of the years, you'll be able to um, show you the number of seats. From a design perspective, I very intentionally chose a highlighted color to show the number of African American Black students. And the reason is the contrast between, for example, here in 2018 at 40 students to now we have only 31 students. And each of the in between years, the numbers are much higher than 2013. You can say the year 2013 has a overall smaller number of student body, but nonetheless, I feel like this chart will bring out the fact just the number of students who are Black or African American is decreasing. Okay, so this is how you would do it using step by step, starting for the data. So the data table looks like this. I actually recommend using Tableau to clean up the data. And once you clean up the data in Tableau, you can paste it into Flourish. So Tableau is not for data visualization, but more for data preparation. Okay, let's go to Tableau and see what we need to do. This is a Google Sheet, so let's get to Tableau. And this is a brand new Tableau. You connect to the data, choose Google Sheet or Google Drive, and then you'll be able to go through the settings and load in the data. Let's see. It's the diversity data file. Connect to it. Okay. We're going to use this data table, the students one. So drag that into the area. We need to clean up some of the headings and everything. So Tableau has a nice use data interpreter checkbox. Check that box. You'll remove the top heading row. We're ready to visualize. So let's actually go to sheet 1. We have to change some of the data types. Year is a time period, so it's day and time. You just went up to a dimension. That's what we want. And we know we have to also pivot some of this. So why don't we go back and pivot all this different degree programs and how we're counting. Are we counting the percentages or the absolute number? Just keep in mind the absolute number is sufficient. You don't even need to do the percentages because Tableau can do calculated tables. But for our case, we just want absolute numbers because the parliamentary table is only individuals. Each star is a single individual. So let's do pivoting for all these columns. And once it's been pivoted, let's call this the degree program. So we're renaming the column headers. And this we could call it value. Okay. So now we're ready to actually start visualizing. We have year, we have degree program, we have race and ethnicity, and the value is the actual number. I think for our case, we don't care so much about the degree program. We care mostly about race and ethnicity. So that's going to go into the rows or just under each of the rows. And the year is going to be on top because each year is a single column. The value will be in the center. That's where the content goes. Notice the values are kind of strange looking because it's summing up the percentages and the absolute counts. So you have to get the degree programs into filter and only check the boxes that doesn't have the percentage symbol. You don't need the total also because the parliamentary chart doesn't need a total category. Okay, now the numbers look actually fine. Kind of makes sense. The total, you also need to exclude the US total. This number is very high because it's summing up everything. So you right click and exclude. Okay, So the reality check, we have about 227 white students in 2023, African American students about 31. Okay, so what we need to do, just to point out, in the Crimson article, there was a glaring kind of statistic that the number of African American students was less than half than in 2021. That's not entirely true, because if we go back actually to the total number of students is very different. There were 645 in 2021 and 442. So as a percentage, I think it's a different story. But just cherry picking that statistic half is a little misleading and maybe manipulative. But we'll look at the parliamentary chart visually to see if there's any obvious way to make it more accurate. Okay, so let's go back to excluding this. You might want to drag the order around, especially if you want to highlight African American. So I may actually just drag it to the very end. You could also order these, whether alphabetically or whatever, but for our purposes, the parliamentary chart, I want this either to be in the very beginning or the very end of this visual. So that's why I dragged it to the very bottom. The year you could actually hide, or you can delete it when it's in flourish. It's up to you at which step you delete this row. But for us, maybe we can just hide the field label for column. Okay. And then you're ready to now take this and import it into Flourish. So the way you copy it is you go to worksheet and you go to copy. Make sure you don't get the data, but you get a course tab. A course tab is the arrangement we have lining up the rows and columns. That's the course tabulation, course tab. Okay, I'm gonna switch gears to Flourish now. And in Flourish, we will create this parliamentary chart. So switching to Flourish, we'll select the parliamentary chart type. Okay. And then we'll paste in the data, delete what's already in here, and paste this in. Okay, so Control V, or Apple V if you have a Mac. The only small change is that it's using columns B to D. We want to use columns B to G, so we change this to G. Okay, let's look at the chart to see if it looks okay. Yes, so we have different ethnicities and race, and we have the number of dots representing each student, and we have the years as we want this to show. Okay, how I kind of quickly change the colors to highlight Black or African American students is I went to color. In the palette, I selected a very faint, maybe this one, the pale one, or the pale one here, whichever works for you. Something very light. I think the pale is even lighter. And then the custom override, that means you can type in the category and put a colon and the name of the color. So I'm going to make sure I typed it correctly by just copying and pasting. And then that's a red. Okay. Yeah. So you can use any color you like. That's a design decision. The C change, I made a small change. Right now it's taking 2022 to 2023. As we know, there were some changes here, but 2022 is a much bigger class size than 2023. I think 2020 is about the same size, or the closest to it, to 2023. So just for the sake of, if you like this C change column, you don't have to show it. You might actually add clutter, but if you like to know how to use this functionality, you could say change, rename it 2020 versus 2023. And that's going to change the actual text, but you do need to customize it instead of auto customize. If you want to turn it off, you just turn it off. But if you want customize, you just change the title, but you need to type in 2020 and after is 2023. So these are relatively similar size, class size. And you see the changes here. If you want to bring out even more some of the color differences, I'm a little colorblind, so it doesn't appear that the contrast isn't that strong. You can change these two colors and select the lost color to be something very strong. Now I can distinguish it very easily. Okay, so the number has gone down from, let's see, 41 to 31, decrease of 10 students, roughly, because actually they're not the same total class size. As you go from 2020 is slightly bigger than 2023. Okay, I wish I could show the percentages here, but with flourish, I don't think there's a way to label the percentages in this chart type, but it just shows the absolute count. And I might use a different chart type to show percentages. So parliamentary charts, you definitely want to show absolute. Each dot is a single individual. I think that's it. You can add the titles and so on, but that's the one way to make the point about the number of African American Black students decreasing over the years. Okay, and so we'll leave it here, and good luck with everything. Take care.